All right, awesome, guys. Excited to be on today. We got a wonderful group up, the Joyn XYZ team, Miguel, Alexandra, and Ev all joining us, as well as Black here to co-host. I just pinned up the We're Live tweet. If everybody could please share that, would appreciate it. Want to get as much turnout for the group up here. And I also pinned up the YouTube link. We are streaming live to YouTube currently, so come catch us on video. What's up, guys? Good morning, afternoon. I know we're all in different spots.
GM.
Afternoon here.
Yeah, Alexandra, you're lucky. You didn't have to like wake up early. I know Black, we dragged him out of bed. I think it's 6:30-ish your time.
Dragged me out of my coffin at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah.
Well,
all good though. Rolling, ready to be here. Let's go.
Where are you based, Black?
I'm in Seattle. A very dark, cloudy Seattle right now.
Yeah, but I feel like the dark fits your brand.
It's true. It's true. I feel at home here.
And Alexandra, remind me, where are you again?
Based in London.
I gotcha. And I know, Miguel, you're by me. And Ev, where are you located?
Just near Toronto.
I gotcha.
Canada.
So covering a good part of the world map there. But Joyn has been busy this past month. I assume the few months before that, enabling the stuff that you guys have been launching in the past month. A bunch of new features. I first want to ask you guys, like, how are you coming up with some of these ideas? I feel like they touch on a lot of pretty, like, I guess, relevant topics that artists are having on Twitter Spaces on their own. So how are you guys kind of brainstorming these before you actually end up implementing them?
Yeah, I guess we talk to artists. That's kind of the main thing. We talk to the people we're trying to build for. And I think like just being participants in the space in general, an artist myself, Alex, and major curator, obviously Black, an artist. And so we keep ourselves, I guess, close to the source as possible. So yeah, talking to artists all the time. And then, yeah, we obviously have a vision for where we want to take this product long term. And so it's about sticking to that vision and then trying to, hear out creators and artists and curators and build what they want.
Gotcha. I love to hear it. And what does that conversation look like? Is it in a group chat and you guys thinking like, oh, hey, we're thinking of doing this new feature? Do you kind of run them by what you're thinking initially and then get their confirmation on it or any tweaks? Or is it just like, what are you guys struggling with? Let's like pour it out, lay it all on the table. We'll figure out how to fix it.
Yeah, I think it's
Sorry,
go ahead. Yeah.
No, we especially when the product was in beta modes, like we talked to everyone individually to help them launch on the platform. So it was a lot of direct conversations with artists, but also when we had curators and doing group drops, sometimes you have we had chats of about 60 artists at the time, each sharing some improvements they want to see on the platform or some bottlenecks they're facing or some ideas that sometimes come to life as well if they're not too crazy. And then a lot of internal just brainstorming with the team. Like we're almost every single day brainstorming how to make the product better. Sometimes it's everyone's happy. Sometimes things are blowing off and we're like, and then we realize we're talking about the same thing. So it's great. It's great. As long as we're like always on the same page. I think that's what sort of like helped us as a team move forward throughout all the turbulence that's been happening.
I think when any group is building something new and innovative, it's probably going to be like that. And it's cool that you guys can get that much feedback too in like a group chat of, 60 artists, like your immediate user base. I find that I feel like if you're building software for and like in other situations, you don't really have that close tight like grip on the community. So it's cool that you guys can get that user feedback immediately and then just continue to iterate. But I want to take a step back. And Ev, you mentioned just like the long term goals of Join, and how long has Join been around for?
Yeah, so I think it predates my time just a tiny bit. I think Mike, who's not here, and John started things in 2020, early 2020, I want to say. And so I actually worked with Mike before this. We've been in like software SaaS startups, and he sort of red pilled me into crypto, and then I kept in touch with him. He left the company that we were at, and he started what was called Chester to begin with, which is sort of the holding company for Joyn. And the first product that they built was like a mystery chest, and so it was like providing artists with an opportunity for distribution. So you'd like compile a bunch of pieces, put them in this mystery chest, sell it. You're not sure exactly who you're going to get. We've seen mechanics like that all over the place, but they were very early in coming up with that concept. And so I think they had some traction there. And then they sort of pivoted into figuring out like more ways to help artists. And that's kind of been the goal from the start for Joyn, and it continues to be like long term. It's just to figure out ways to provide opportunities to this creator economy, this middle class artist group. We've generally not been focused on like the high clout, high hype type stuff. We've been really, really hyper focused on just helping the average artist produce better work and find opportunities. And so they started doing gas fee sponsorships. And then about that time is when I came on to help with product, and we started to build out the actual platform. And I think the first product that got a lot of traction would have been the open call feature, which is still sort of our bread and butter to today. But yeah, we've expanded, as you mentioned, a ton over the last few months. We worked our tails off in 2024 or 2023 to get ready for 2024. And we're just shipping like, a feature a week kind of thing right now. We're on a pretty wild cadence. So yeah, that's sort of the story. And then like that long-term vision is just, we got some cool stuff on the horizon. I won't share like too much, but we're going to continue to try and provide these opportunities for artists, whether it be open calls, curation, and then offer tool set like the tooling as well. So we launched our Composer product late last year into beta, and we've just been slowly sort of releasing that piece by piece this month and releasing it to the public. So yeah, we're just going to continue to try and plug away at that.
Thrilling to hear, man. And it's cool to see the evolution. That's what I was like really curious about on how it started. So it seems like the mystery chest was like where I guess one of the initial endeavors that was taken on, and then that just spiraled into different ways to help artists. And now we have where we are today at Joyn. What would you guys consider Joyn? I wanted to, because it's not like necessarily a marketplace. It's a platform where I feel like it really enables artwork to be curated. But want to hear it from you guys. Like, what's the one sentence that you give people?
That's tough.
It's an ecosystem for creators to thrive. I mean, it is true we're not directly a marketplace. It's we're introducing a consumer behavior that allows people to connect deeper with the works that are on the platform right now, which is, as you can imagine, a challenge, because the most thriving marketplaces is usually that provide front and center trading tools for degens to flip and like calculate quickly the returns. But for us, the focus was on the art, and I think that's what really helps us stand out right now, and sort of our main advantage for the creators, that they are at the front and center of the whole user experience. Like as an artist, when you come to Joyn, you see an incredible amount of value through the open call opportunities. So I think in our recent summary blog, it was over 200,000 worth of opportunities brought to artists through the network of partners that we brought on. at the same time, you're able to add more rich narrative through the Art Plus tools, which I think the composer tooling later, maybe F can talk us all through like all the different benefits. But on a high level, it's about adding that extra context that essentially we're borrowing the idea from the traditional market where you would spend a lot of time curating and narrating about the work rather than just selling it and looking at numbers of how well it is performing. And so our vision and mission is to empower creators to be more self-sovereign in this pursuit of building their brand as an artist and connecting with their collector base.
To me, I've been looking at it a lot like a lot of the other platforms and places are like strictly marketplaces, you know, like they're places to go buy things. They're almost like, you know, the Amazons of the current, you know, Web3 art market. And Joyn, I believe, is going into the direction of becoming, if not already is, more of a place to experience the work and sit down and absorb it and take time with it. Which, I mean, I think the higher level of execution and the better art that there is, the more time that really kind of requires you to sit down and absorb the work. And I think a lot of times in this space, things move really quickly, you know, not just with news and trends, but, you know, you scrolling through your phone, you look at something for 3 seconds, that's like a really long time, you know. And I think with the way that Joyn's been able to build out sort of the publication type of feature, it's something to really sit down and experience. And that makes you more connected with the work. And it's more of a, I would say, a more of a mature way to experience art in the Web3 space, something that I think is needed in certain areas. So that to me is where I look at the major value add for artists, to be able to actually put their voice into something that's other than just a single image, and to be able to actually speak about the thing that they spend so much time on, so much effort and all these things into one place that stays there forever and is able to actually support the work over a long period of time for people to see it. That to me is where I see like a huge value add for sure.
Yeah, and sometimes that part of the process, you know, it's underrated. When people go, and I'm gonna touch what Alex said, you know, traditional, you go to a museum and you read the placard, you're like, wow, I didn't know that about this piece. We're trying to bring that out here, where you go read an Art Plus, you go through a showcase, you read these different things on Joyn, and it makes you go, wow, I didn't know all this went into this piece. And I think, you know, as we go out in our conversation today, you're gonna see that where our artists just have done a really good job of, you know, bringing out that information that you otherwise probably would have missed on the timeline, or you just would have not known if you didn't have a conversation directly with them. So, you know, we're excited to kind of showcase that today.
And I think also, just on a final point, I think this is relevant because, like, it's good to contextualize why is this relevant? It's because right now, especially when you look at collectors that are making that shift towards digital art and the whole narrative around AI, many people misinterpret many works right now. Is this AI? Is it real? And we've been having these conversations on the home feed. People have been canceled because they've been pretending like oil painting was AI. And so I think the process, when before maybe it wasn't as important, is becoming more and more important, especially in the age of such easy content production. Are we valuing the art? Are we valuing the artists? Are we valuing the work that's going behind a specific piece? And I think all these will become very important indicators for the future collectors to come and explore something new.
Agreed. I think we value all of them, to be honest. I think it's really the sum of all of those things that's what determines the overall value of the piece. But as you guys said, I think both Art Plus and showcases give a really, really cool way for artists and curators to share the narrative of their work. And I wanted to ask, I was scrolling through some showcases and I love the customization that curators have on the showcases page. But what about Art Plus? Like, are there any particular, I know you guys, when you first launched the feature, I believe there were a few artists that like were the first ones to actually launch with the Art Plus feature. Are there any cool ones that you guys can mention now, and I can bring them up on screen and share screen?
Yeah, there's tons. I'll let somebody else pull a few up, but I'll answer like the question in general. Like for the same customization that's awarded to showcases is also awarded to a single piece art plus page. So basically, you have like a simple drag and drop web builder where you can create, like, you can add off chain images, video, written content, and yeah, you can sort of like design it how you want. Yeah, there should be a bunch to put up here.
Yep, I got a few in chat. I'm pulling up now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and find one that I specifically like always come back to as such a great example of process. It's by an artist, Cad Monkey. It was actually in a show that I curated. I'm gonna pull it up here.
When you get it in, I'll jump to that because as you're talking about it, I want to get it. But for right now, we'll go through itinerations.
So this one is a showcase, but if you click on the second link, it's the actual Art Plus. It's called Self Search number 8.
Gotcha.
And because within every showcase, you can also add Art Plus, which is basically diving deeper, a step forward towards learning more about individual artworks within a certain curation.
Oh, so this is like Inception. It's like I can have the extra narrative on the showcase, and then I could go into the work and then get more narrative.
Exactly.
That's sweet.
Yeah, if you scroll down, you can see the whole story about the piece, about the behind the scenes. It's the
artist. This information, does this just live on like the Joyn page, or does this live on the blockchain as well?
No, so this is outside of the blockchain. So yeah, like this is outside of metadata. The way we see it is like, yeah, there's probably some clever way to put this data on chain, and we'll probably do that at some point over time. I think like a great example is what Transient Labs has done with their story inscriptions on I think all of their contracts have that. But yeah, this is kind of just off-chain info. And the way we see it is like, this is what you would generally post on Twitter when you're, announcing a new piece. The thing is, I think what we're all kind of waking up to now in 2024 is like, I think the average artist is waking up to the fact that like a piece isn't going to sell the day that you publish it, or, like it might sit for some time, and that is totally okay. Like that's normal. But if you're posting this context on Twitter, it's kind of gone, and you've got to point people to a tweet when 2 months later somebody's interested in the piece. So the concept is basically to sort of like take that information and give you a place to point people to that's a bit more permanent, but yeah, it's not on chain at the moment.
Gotcha. I was wondering, so I was thinking of something where people were able to essentially like update the metadata of pieces, right? Like somehow just like append to pieces on chain, and maybe it was the inscriptions that you mentioned from Transient Labs. But so as I go back to the showcase page, how do I navigate to the individual one-of-one pages in the showcase? Down here. Gotcha.
You click on them. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, and it is cool. I think that it eliminates the need, or not eliminates, but I guess like serves as another option for artists to, instead of just posting that super long thread on Twitter, and it's uncomfortable for us to read. We're squinting on our phones and you can't customize the whole page. Definitely appreciate being able to view it here and just have the artist's control over the aesthetic. Little details like this, just this line, the font here, the way they're able to make those creative decisions and how they display the work, I think is huge.
Yeah, it's like just about giving your work the best shot at being collected, right, and presenting it the way that you want. I think like, I mean, to like flipping back to an earlier question about like, are we a marketplace, or like, what are we? And like, I think we have this weird sort of idea of what a marketplace is, and it's like a bunch of, it's a grid of images that you can, like that's kind of it. And we're just sort of expanding beyond that. Like, it's not just a grid of images. Therefore, I guess we're not a marketplace, although we have point of sale across the platform. So yeah, so I think it gives artists a bigger opportunity, a better opportunity to sort of present the work that they want, the way that they want to. And yeah, and this info is not lost in the ether.
This is a good example of it for me. This was the first time I put together one for something that I was working on for a project, Aegis Syncretica, where like it's extremely narrative heavy and there's a lot of information. And it's like I know that the attention spans are short. Mine is too. I'm not going to sit and read the entire thing on Twitter, and it's hard to put that information out there in a way that you also don't want to be like super repetitive and post the same thing every day and talk about the same thing all the time. And there's other things going on. And so to me, it's a good place to like kind of put it on a shelf, you know, and like, oh, here it is in its entirety. You know, you link to it, you have it there, and those who are interested can go check it out. And it's something this, as I said before, you sit down, you kind of absorb these things over time. And what's interesting about this is this kind of highlights that, you know, there's 6 main pieces that are pulled from Super Rare that I have in here. And then I have small, significantly lower price additions that are almost like, you know, with this being like almost photorealism, they're almost like B-roll type of things for the story, you know? And so like, it's just interesting to have a mix of where things are coming from, and some things are on Joyn and some things are from Super Rare and some things are over here, and you can put your own media in, your own images and that kind of thing. And it ends up being something that it's almost agnostic with the way that you're able to work as an artist, and you have these different options for doing things. If I want to add small little additions to something that I don't think I want to put on Super Rare, but I want to have them out there for people to be able to experience, I can do that here. And it's all linked together. And so I think that's something that's very much a new experience as well, that people haven't really been able to have in this space before. And so, yeah, I just find it to be very valuable. And I think the audience is different. You know, the people that are going to kind of go through this are different than the sort of, you know, kind of collecting things in mass and flipping stuff or whatever. This is much more about the art. And I think, at least for me, I'm saying this from like a purist art, you know, standpoint. I think it's much more about the art itself and putting the stories together, or other people have like process and how they built this whole thing out and like all of that. You know, you have like a 500 character limit in some places, you know, some other marketplace. You can't go into this amount of depth and really kind of put it out there, but it is able, in this case, you know, the pieces on Super Rare, it's also there. So it's like, it doesn't have to be in one place, and it doesn't have to be locked into a single place. You know, we're in a decentralized ecosystem. It should be accessible from multiple places at multiple times for different reasons and different use cases. And I think that, you know, this platform absolutely kind of exemplifies that for me, at least.
Yeah, I think that feature is a huge value add. Just being able to aggregate platform or art from across multiple platforms, I think makes it so much easier for just the collector and anybody who wants to appreciate it. And then seeing it in one place where I could have the story tied in together is awesome as well. Quick question on something that's listed on Super Rare. Can they buy it? Do they have to go to Super Rare to buy it, or can they buy it under like I guess almost like a wrapper page from Joyn?
So I think the majority, if you're like if you're on Super Rare as a Super Rare artist specifically, it does work. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm under Montage and Slicka, and so I'm using their contract to come through. So in this case, it is more like linked than it is embedded. But it's, you know, I have like the link up underneath it. So for the most part, it is able to do that.
Yeah. So everything is non-custodial, right? So if the piece is in your wallet, it can be listed in multiple places at once. So Super Rare, I'm pretty sure, did an update to the contract like about a year ago, something like that, that made it so that it was non-custodial. I think when you're in if you may be in an auction or have a reserve auction on Super Rare, you might not be able to list the piece. It's like case by case kind of thing. But in most cases, what we've seen is that artists can have their piece listed on Super Rare and on Joyn at the same time. Maker's Place is a good example as well. So yeah, if you hold the piece in your wallet, it can be listed on Joyn. It's when your piece is tied up in a contract, like an auction contract, for example. So like Foundation, if you're to list on Foundation, they take custody of the piece, or the contract, I should say, takes custody of the piece, meaning you can't do anything else with it for the time that it's there. And so in the case of Super Rare, it generally works to list in both places. But for the cases where, you know, you do have a piece on Foundation, you can also have that piece listed on Joyn, but it's not actually a listing on Joyn. We're basically executing the listing for you that's on Foundation. So a collector could come to Joyn, buy the piece, but it's actually buying it from Foundation, but we're fulfilling the order. So we're just trying to work towards like more interoperability and just chipping away at it here and there.
Yeah, I honestly I love that, and I think it makes sense for the platforms as well. For like Foundation, it's like it's still being executed on their end, but at the same time, I don't have to go to all of these different platforms to view work from this one showcase. I can see them all here, which I appreciate, and then being able to enable to buy is huge as well. And this one I want to take as an example. So this one was listed on Super Rare, right, Black? But at the same time, I'm able to buy now on Joyn.
That one is it was listed originally on Super Rare but collected by Historic Crypto, and then Historic Crypto, I believe, listed it on Joyn on secondary.
Okay.
So you can purchase it in that way right there right now.
Yeah, and then I saw sold again down here, which is sweet. And Black, I wanted to ask you about just your whole process, the curation, like the Joyn process here and putting this together. How simple do you feel like it was from like a user experience perspective, being able to make the creative decisions you wanted to make to put a page like this together?
Super simple. I used to like build websites and stuff years ago, and so I think I have some technical ability in that way. But then you come on here and it's literally drag and drop your own sandbox, do whatever you want to do, and it's very, very simple, very simple. I mean, if you have all your, creating the content is the hardest part. That's going to be, the thing that takes the most time regardless, but putting it onto the page itself is just super easy. It's literally drag and drop. If you have everything, you copy, paste, text block, move a picture, boom, here it is, boom, done. I mean, it's super simple, very fluid. And it's being updated all the time as well. And these small little additions being made to kind of enhance that experience. And so, this was even made, I think, I don't know. I did this in maybe like September or something, maybe. So it's even had like major iterations as far as a platform it goes, has a major iteration since that point. And so I'm actually putting one together today for a piece I have coming out tomorrow. And I'm sure, the way that I can flex on that is going to be even more powerful than it was with this one. So I would say this is like a super basic version of how this thing can operate right now. With a lot of the ones that, others have linked in the chat here are more robust than this even is. This is very like narrative heavy, but it's sort of a good example of like the different pieces being pulled from different places.
Yep. And you said you have another showcase coming out tomorrow or a one of one?
I have a one of one coming out tomorrow, part of a series that I started last year.
Gotcha. And that leads me to another question that I had, and talking about, you being able to do this in September, I believe you said. So the showcases was just opened up to the public, right? It was initially, I guess, privately people were able to curate, and now you guys just open it up full access to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha. And now why was it private for so long, and why did you guys make the decision to enable everybody to have access?
Yeah, it was the simple answer is we were building it. It was private because it wasn't finished, and so we just were trying to handpick people, really like anybody that wanted to work with us, to be honest. Like, we were down, but we're trying to find people that are going to help give like good feedback and that want to do something that are like, maybe they're limited by the current tools that are out there, and they want to, do something a little different. So that's like, Black was very much aligned with kind of our long-term vision and like appreciated the concept of what we're trying to do. And so, yeah, it made sense to pair up and work together. And then, yeah, we were, just trying to find people that are like frustrated, that kind of feel the same way with the way current things are. And and so it took a long time to like get that all wrapped up. We went from, like building open calls kind of exclusively to like, building a marketplace, really. Like that's what was required. And then on top of that, building all these more like custom tools and things that haven't necessarily been done in Web3 yet. So it took lots of time, and we're still iterating constantly. But the sort of like mandate for this year is just like, yeah, we let this stuff go to the public, and we just now continue to ship every week meaningful features that people are asking for. So yeah, it'll be a lot faster cadence now on what gets released.
Is it like the 12 weeks of Christmas? Do we just get a new feature
Yeah.
every week for the next 3 months?
That's the goal. Yeah. Just 1 or 2 a week is kind of our current goal right now. Like I think like next week we'll roll out auctions, which is going to be huge. I think today or tomorrow we'll release custom backgrounds for showcases and artist signatures for showcases. So people just drag and drop backgrounds or signatures in. It adds to the page. We're just nonstop rolling out stuff.
Yeah, you guys. It sounds like you guys are cooking.
Yeah.
But wanted to also ask about just how do you guys think this is going to change the way that artists tell their narratives? I find that if you enable artists to do something like this, I think people are going to run with this in a million different ways. And I feel like, as we were talking about, like how the value of art is determined before, I feel like artwork with this feature can become very, very narrative heavy, which I think is cool. It could be, you could almost add a chapter book into your work if you'd like. So how do you guys feel artists are taking this and running with it so far? I can imagine that some are indulging and just like, instead of just putting out the work simply the way they used to, they're telling a lot more of the story now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're seeing it like the early use cases are generally like process related stuff, like showing behind the scenes on like how you created something, whether that be AI or with code or like a time-lapse video of illustration. I think that those are like the more obvious examples. Some of the stuff that we are starting to see are like more long form type of content. So we had a creator do a showcase towards the end of the year that was like a comic. We kind of like redid some of the UI to make it a comic. So it was a 15-page comic. And so you would read through the comic and each page was for sale. So each page was a one of one. It was really not like focused too heavily on the art or the one of ones themselves. It was more focused on reading this content. But yeah, we hope people can like think of new ways to monetize on their skills. Like selling one of one art, selling edition art, like that's one way for sure. But like we hope that people figure out other ways to monetize. Like if you have a skill set that you want to sell, like if you want to write a course or write about like how you do what you do, or like if you're really a great writer, we've seen almost no tools available for writers in the space. So yeah, we're trying to just give everybody an opportunity to monetize on their skills. And I guess the goal is like to try and make it so that everybody can earn, a baseline amount per month type thing in this space, in this little economy that we've got going. And then it hopefully can expand into the, other like maybe more Web 2 type creator economy. There's so many artists out there creating stuff, selling it on Etsy or Patreon or you name it. So we hope to just see people expand it into all forms of content.
And what's the best way? I know you guys mentioned before that, you were looking to just like, you've been looking to work with people in the past, anybody who's interested. And I've found you guys to be very accessible in the past as well, which I've appreciated. What's the best way for people if they have new ideas for ways that they think they can monetize their work or want to express the work? What's the best way for them to reach you guys?
Alex?
we do have a page partner with us on our homepage. So this is one of the ways, like if you don't know anyone in the team, but usually most of the community knows someone, like a member of our team, and they get in touch and they throw an idea out there. They're like, oh, by the way, sometimes people DM us through Joyn directly, or sometimes they go and DM everyone on our team, and then we between ourselves have to figure out who's like the person talking. So I think the best is our direct website, because we monitor it like every second day we check. And right now it's a bit easier because most of the tools are publicly accessible, so you can just go and start creating. But that would be probably the best.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Next time I want to schedule a live stream, I'm just going to DM all of you individually. Hey,
I mean,
thanks
it's
for the
like
brilliant ideas.
it's just it gets tough. Like if it's like 5 people, it's fine. But you just think about it. We have about 200 partners on the platform right now. Each of these is an individual conversation. So it gets like a lot, at some point to keep up with all of them.
Do it on the website, guys, to make Alex's life efficient. Also want to talk about the open curator fee though. So I
That's
know
the
that's
most
another
exciting part. Yes, let's talk about that's my favorite
yeah.
part.
I know that's another awesome feature that you guys rolled out, and I'm just gonna throw that one to you guys. Like, how did that come about? What were the conversations and struggles that you heard artists having, and what was the process of implementing it?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that there's a bit of a gap in like how curation is done currently, right? So like I think for the last year or two, that what we've seen for curation was like you curate a list of artists, you ask them to come join a specific event, they all create like net new work, and you as the curator, besides maybe a theme or something, like you don't really have much control in the curation process. You're kind of curating artists. You're asking them to come and they show up with what they show up with. I think a really good curator would obviously have rapport with the artist, but we sort of tried to like flip that model on its head and think about like how can you curate anybody's work that's available. There's so much available art out there, and I think that like the actual act of curation is like spending the time going through work from people that you don't know, and finding what resonates and then presenting it. And so this feature enables any artist to set an open curator fee on their piece. So they come to Joyn, you can list in under 60 seconds, you add an open curator fee. And so let's say I set a 10% curator fee. Now, any one of you could go and create a show on Joyn and include my piece, and we wouldn't actually have to talk. There's no like back and forth between us because I've set that opt-in. I've said, yeah, I'll pay 10% if somebody can sell this piece. And so multiple people can curate it simultaneously. So that gives you provenance, that gives you like more reach, more exposure. And again, like it fixes that like communication logistics process that currently exists when curating. And then obviously like we have the ability for curators to request like a private fee. Like if you let's say I put 10%, but I'm a high reach, curator, I want 25%. I could request that. And then, the artists have the option to accept that exclusive, listing, and at the same time, still keeping their piece available for 10% to anybody else. So, yeah, this hopefully will encourage curators to curate the art, not the artists. And for artists, this hopefully gets them so much more exposure, so much more provenance, and hopefully new collectors.
I think that's a huge one on so many different fronts. So I think you guys changed the game with curation with just the open calls, right? Because it was, even if you wanted to curate something with entirely new artwork, you could, but the artwork had to be provided first, and then you can, actually view the artworks and curate. Rather than, I feel like I've personally curated some stuff on Foundation, and curating those worlds in the past. It was, you're curating the artist, and then you get the artwork afterwards, but you don't exactly know exactly what you're curating prior. So I love that you guys did that with the open calls. I think this makes it really, really cool as well. As you said, the added exposure to the artist, I think, could be huge. So it's like somebody sets a curator fee, an artist sets an open curator fee, allows their work to be curated by anyone. And then it's like if you see all of these top curators just choose to curate this one piece of work, um, that just establishes it as a pretty solid piece, I feel like, off the bat. Now, I also wanted to ask you guys, as artists, though, is there almost a hesitation for artists for the work to be over curated? Do you guys think that's a thing? Or do you think artists they're okay with their work being curated by anybody who's willing to take it on?
is there such a thing as over RTing, or like is there like like would you be mad if you got 300 retweets or instead of 200? You know, I think like exposure is exposure. So I would assume that, I mean, from my standpoint, like, no, I want my art to be seen by as many people as possible.
Love it there, guys. And let's see what else I have on open curator fees in the backlog. The magical list of questions. You answered a bunch of them. I was also curious on how the fee is determined, and I also love the idea that artists can, curators can like propose a separate fee if they feel like they're adding more value, and artists are able to accept that. I think that's brilliant there. Um, Also wanted to ask about some of the showcases that your launch curators have put together. I think we have a few that we haven't gone through, and we're close to time, so I say we go through one more. Is there anyone that you guys put in the private chat that you think I should bring up?
Like, should we do a solo show, a group show? What do you guys think?
I mean, I love all of them. They're like our babies because we spend so much time, like all of us here, working with our partners on these. I think it's good to show something where it's like a diversity of artists. So we highlight.
Can we have Miguel choose? I want to hear from Miguel.
Yeah,
I think that last one that I've shared is a pretty good example. It is a solo showcase, and I agree. Like the group showcases are fantastic, but that last one,
oh yeah, I shared it as well. So
yeah, the offline
I like this one.
showcase.
Let's give everyone credit on this
Yeah.
multiple times, so that definitely means it should be shared. And we got it up offline
It's
series.
just the aesthetic is so on point with the pieces.
Yeah, just the simple like border on the side of this is like very trippy,
It's
matrix.
a custom background. You got the artist signature there, 0x.
And
Looks
like
really
this is
dope.
something an artist next week is going to be able to do by themselves on Joyn. Like just customize all of that.
So is this currently? Are they not able to do this currently? Like, do they have to work directly with you guys to do this, or has that
Just
been
the
the case in the
background,
past?
that feature should probably go out today or tomorrow. So let's just say for most people listening, I think, yeah, it's currently
It's
live.
available.
Yeah, it's available.
You guys can do
but
this now.
but yeah, like the couple other points that I think are kind of cool is that these pieces are all on-chain SVGs, so that's like that all works. And one thing that was kind of cool with 0x, the way that he did this show, was like, he wanted it to be like a custom experience. This is like a very cohesive collection, kind of like, yeah, like his, yeah, he wanted it. He had a vision for how it was displayed, but he also had a vision for how it would be released. And so what he could do with this page was he basically made it private for a group of collectors to come first serve, buy their favorite piece, and then he left one that he did like a public auction for. So he basically had like an early release with this group of collectors, and then he released the whole collection to the public, and at that same time did an auction. We let him use the auction feature ahead of time, and he did an auction for the last one. So yeah, just we think it's a great aesthetic example, but I think it also just like shows another use case for the tool that we didn't necessarily even see when we were designing it out. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And so on the making things private, is that a feature that might get rolled out in the future? People being able to like password protect pages,
Yeah.
or is that available?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, not password protected, but basically there's 3 modes to a showcase. Like there's the visibility modes, and one of those modes is basically like anybody with the link can access the page. So that's kind of the workaround right now, is just, you know, having like sort of same thing as like a Notion share page, or like Google, like if you're sharing a Google page, with anybody with the link can access it. But you control the visibility on site. So, but yeah, I think there's probably like, it feels like a no-brainer to do a password feature. Actually, I'm working with an artist right now that is looking for a password protected page for a group of collectors. So yeah, I think we'll probably roll that out as a public feature.
It's awesome. I know we are at time, guys, but thank you for walking us through the set of features that that you guys have released already, and giving us a little bit of tidbits on the new stuff that we can look out for. Seems like you guys have been busy in 2023, and I expect that will be continuing this early 2024. So it's awesome to see.
Thanks a lot for having us,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for that, Steven. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Want to give you guys a chance to just share any last things that you would like to share with the audience, with the group, etc.
Yeah, I think for the artists, you are more ready to do these things than you think you are. I think there's some kind of hesitance of, oh, I don't have an idea yet, but a lot of people have already been doing it on socials. Do it on your own when you're vocalizing, talking to people in general. Just put that on Joyn. Put anything that your ideas and the process and the depth, and go. You've already been doing this, I promise. And you put this on Joyn, and we'll help you kind of bring it to life. And you are more ready than you think you are to kind of execute on these ideas. So we're here to help. I think all of our handles are on screen, so we're ready to help. I'll let my teammates, anything else you want to say here?
I think, yeah, give it a try. We already have, like, if you're a curator, there's over 500 artists waiting to be curated. You just go to our homepage and click compose, and then you can either do a story or a showcase. And honestly, it takes 5 minutes to figure out. If there are questions, DM us. But also for the whole month of February, we have so we had 787 release his showcase last week. We have Unknown Collector release his showcase on Friday, and then we have 10 more amazing curators lined up for February. So the pieces that are listed on Joyn in the coming weeks are definitely getting a lot of eyes on, and we're introducing more filterings that are going to help discovery. So this is something also very exciting. And the sooner you become part of the ecosystem, the more opportunities you can gain. Some artists have been exhibited in over 10, 20 locations last year just by being active participants of the ecosystem. So I'm personally really excited about everything that's happening.
Yeah, I think there's just so much potential, and you can see the space kind of getting more and more influenced by the way people want to experience art. And I think this is just the epitome of that. So I think the way it is right now, it's extremely unique, and what it's going to be in the future is even going to be even more robust. And I'm just looking forward to continue to build like as those stages happen. And I think any artist should be thinking about that too, especially for things that they put so much time into it. It should be justified, with the work and the way that it's presented as well. So
Ev said he's all good. But also want to call out, it's cool to just see like the signs of progress. I remember when I first met you guys, you guys told me about some of like the things you wanted to accomplish long term. And it's like it's cool to have seen in just like a few months you're making progress on those things, and all of the things that was Alex is mentioning as well, just like different curations that are coming up, the number of artists that are on the platform. And Black also mentioning that earlier, just having been on the platform early on and seeing the growth of it thus far, I think is exceptional. So it's really, really cool to see a team that A, is as cool as you guys, just as people. I think you guys are awesome people, but B, that like has a plan, says what they're going to do, executes it, and then moves on to the next thing to keep serving the community. So I want to give you guys a full round of applause on that. I want to thank everybody for joining today, the wonderful group up here. Catch them on Twitter, Miguel, Alexandra, Ev, and Black. And also check out joyn.xyz. You guys know where to find it. I want to thank the audience for joining us today as well. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the support, and want to wish everybody a wonderful day.
thanks a lot.
Take care.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Steven.
Take it easy, guys.